Well, in that game, I know you guys last year when you played Utah State, you put in a lot of short fields and stuff and tough spots, but I think you guys still gave up, 50. They still hung 50 on you guys. How much, I guess, of a motivating factor for the defense is what happened last year?
Yeah, every week you got to find a way to motivate yourselves. You got to find a way to motivate, your team. Some weeks easier than others. Obviously, this week Utah State got after us pretty good last year, so. Obviously the guys in studying the film, we got to correct some things and obviously do a much better job this year.
Before the season we talked a lot about David Mowat just impressing people in the spring and the summer, and he's carried it right into this season. To you, what's the thing that separates him and enables him to be able to do that?
Well, I think one, he's developed a ton since last year throughout the offseason with Coach Pittman and in terms of his physical ability and obviously fundamentally as a football player, Coach Caldwell and Latu, our GA, have done a heck of a job with him, and it's showing on the field right now. Just like anybody else, there's things that he is obviously working on still to get better at, but he's off to a good start, and whether he's getting sacks or not getting sacks or whatever, for us as a defense, he's very productive in what he does in his role. So, we just got to keep pushing forward with him.
To get that pressure up the middle, maybe last year, you had some big bodies in there, a lot of guys who are, the traditional run stopper types, but to have that aspect, a guy who can get into the backfield, and I know that's even Elliott's strength too. How does that make a difference for your defense this year, as maybe opposed last year?
Yeah, no question. The defense always starts with the middle of your defense. That's the anchor. How those guys play, and everybody's a little different in how you get it done, and just trying to, do his best for our guys and help them out and put them in the best situations, for who they are. But yeah, no doubt, the defense always starts with the interior of the D-line, and how those guys go typically is how you go, especially in the run game.
When it comes to David, we talk about his size, and it seems like he's finding a way to use that to his benefit. But what is it? It seems like when we talk about after the game, it seems like he's also starting to get some confidence and some understanding that he can obviously do this play at this level and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What is that confidence doing for him?
Confidence is everything in this game. Confidence is everything, and it's hard work getting that confidence. One, we always talk about the separations in the preparation. Not just mentally, game plan wise, and what you need to execute, but obviously physically. And I think he's got a little bit of both of those things. Well, probably a lot of both of those things going on right now to give him that confidence, and then he's able to go out on the field and cut it loose and play fast and execute and do the things that he's being asked of him in terms of his responsibilities.
How is it more difficult for a guy on the inside to get 4 sacks versus a guy on the outside?
Yeah, no question. The production he's getting inside right now has helped us tremendously, and his quickness inside I think helps him. And he may not be typical nose weight, but he's extremely strong. He's a strong physical player.
Cam Hartsfield this year, he made that. I thought maybe one of the turning points in the game was that -6 or 7 on Golden out in the flat.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's made some big plays, whether it's tackling somebody for a loss or knocking a pass away. What's he meant for defense?
Yeah, no question. He stepped up huge. And Coach Franklin and him have been working very closely together, obviously all through the spring and the summer and fall camp. And once again, confidence is everything. And once you get a little bit of that rolling, you feel good about what you're doing on the field, you can play faster. You understand what your keys are. You know exactly what you're looking at, what those keys are telling you. That leads to fast and physical play. And so, obviously with all these guys we're talking about that are having success right now, there's still things we need to keep improving on, and plenty of areas we can keep getting better at. But it's exciting to see some of these guys emerge in new roles and have some confidence doing it.
I know you're going to get DSG back next week, but how much did losing Evan Tyler hurt? Because it seemed like he had been playing pretty well.
Yeah, no question. Evan was really coming along, and it's just unfortunate. It really is, and he was doing a nice job for us and getting some playing time there and stuff. So, some other guys are going to have to step up.
Do you feel okay with, at least for this week, with the depth you have there at safety?
Yeah, it's constant. It's every week. one of our old coaches here says every week, you know, you got 2 guys ready to roll, and you better have a third on deck, because at any minute you need a third guy. And so we always remind ourselves of that in terms of trying to develop depth, and we've been talking about that. And you guys asked, what does that mean? Well, in these situations, guys got to step up and be ready to play, you know. And each week we talk to these guys, whether you're first, second, third, barely getting reps with the travel team, you got to prepare like you're starting. You got to treat it like you're starting, because you never know when your time's going to come.
It sounds like I was kind of mentioned Jordan Happel's name, so as he might be the guy on deck, it sounds like. So I guess how's he continued to progress, and then how has DSG been doing over the last few weeks? Jordan's another one of our young guys that obviously we're really excited about. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be talking about him in the situation we're in, and you know, the opportunity he's going to have. Just going back to even recruiting Jordan, you know, he's a guy that has great body control, good tackler in the open field. You know, for a young guy, solid football IQ, mature enough to handle the situation. You know, and then I think, you know, just obviously with DSG, and he got Scout Team Player of the Week last week, so he's been doing pretty good down there.
How much more difficult is it for you to put a game plan together for a team when a quarterback can drop back on a pass play but then tuck it and go? And
Yeah.
A dual threat like he is.
Yeah, no question. I know some guys don't like getting labeled as dual threats in terms of quarterbacks, because people think they can't throw the ball. That is not even kind of the case, you know, with the quarterback we're going to face this week. He's very athletic, and he is definitely capable of throwing the ball. He's got good wide receivers. On the outside, he's got some size, you know, some speed on the inside. Got a tight end as well that has been productive for him, and he does a good job getting the ball. He's got a good arm. He can whip that thing around the yard and makes good, quick decisions. And then obviously when things aren't there, he's capable of extending pass plays with his feet, which he's just as dangerous at.
3 of the next 4 weeks you'll play teams that beat you last year. You know, kind of a big stretch for this team here the next 4 weeks. I don't know if you're calling it revenge month or whatever, but how are you kind of looking at this stretch, and obviously starting on Saturday, you know, with it making up for probably wasn't a good feeling last year in that game.
Yeah, you know what, I mean, every week's a new week. You start the process over again, and that's really what you got to pay attention to. I know for you guys, it's important to talk about all that stuff, because that's what, you know, that's what generates attention and stuff. But for us, we got to focus on ourselves and clean up the things, not only that we didn't do well last week that are on film, but we got to do a great job of preparing and handling the adjustments we got to make, you know, for what Utah State is currently doing right now and how they're operating as an offense. And we need to focus on ourselves and executing our responsibilities. So as we always talk about, our guys can communicate, play with great eye control, and play fast.
As a coach, do you remind guys when the feeling when their fans stormed the field last year and that kind of thing at the end of that game, just the way that feeling was? Do you have to remind them about that?
I don't think our guys have forgotten about that. I mean, we don't talk about it a whole lot. I mean, we obviously know the team we're playing against. We're spending more of our time preparing, and the motivation for these guys, you never want to assume, but I'm pretty sure the motivation's there for our players after, they beat us pretty bad last year. So
Utah State has multiple running backs. Are there differences between them? Certain guys do certain things better?
yeah, I mean, they got big backs. Backs, they're all pretty fast. They're all pretty quick. That's one thing. I mean, you get out of all those guys back there, they're capable of moving in and out of the backfield. Similar to some of the offenses we've seen in the past weeks here, where they're going to maybe start out of the backfield and motion back in, or start in the backfield and motion out to wide receiver positions. They could catch the ball out of the backfield as well. And then obviously, I mean, there's some explosive runs out of those guys when you turn on the film and take a look at them.
But do they do different things? Do you need to pay attention to who's actually in it?
You know what? Yeah, they use. I mean, from looking at it, I mean, there's certain guys that get out of the backfield a little bit more than others. Yeah, I mean, probably typical to some of the things we do and every offense does. I mean, you got your tailback in the backfield that you see is more of a guy that's an athlete that could do a little bit more than just take the handoff from the quarterback.
Well, last Saturday in the second half, I mean, obviously the offense struggled a little bit, and they had the touchdown and the onside kick. They get the field goal, but it seemed like in the fourth quarter when you guys really needed to make some plays. Obviously you did, and obviously a big one from D. Lee.
Yeah, that was awesome, huh? I mean, that was exciting. Something we've really been harping on, and obviously we've been struggling to get turnovers. And it's almost one of those things when we talk to the guys about, don't press, don't try to do too much, because not only are we not going to get turnovers when we're pressing, but that's going to lead to mistakes, silly mistakes. So for D. Lee, in the situation we were in down there, to be able to come through and make the play he made, in situations that we practice, and for him to go out and execute it on the game field in a critical situation was awesome. Unbelievable play.
When you look at sacks and how I know like turnover margin is usually the closest stat that relates to wins, but in the NFL last year, like the top 6 teams ranked 1 through 6 in sacks. You guys are currently tied for first in the country in sacks per game. So how did those lead to that much success, or what?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope they'd lead to more turnovers too, but for whatever reason, it's not correlating right now. Which, hey, that's part of the deal right now. It's one of those things. You don't always have an answer for everything, but the one thing we got to keep doing is getting pressure, and it's all about the quarterback has the ball on every single play, whether he takes it and hands it off, or he's taking it and throwing it, or taking it and running himself with it. So to be able to get pressure on the quarterback, I mean, that's obviously a huge part of this game.